One of the main differences I'm still seeing between queer people that identify as non-monogamous or polyamorous, or you could still be heterosexual and polyamorous, but I still consider that to be like alternative lifestyle, maybe even queer, depending on how you define those things, and heteronormative and what I consider to be toxic monogamy is, well, first of all, that toxic monogamy still very much exists in our society. And what I'm talking about specifically is this idea in monogamy that one person fulfills all your needs, right? And so what that creates is a threat if your partner is talking to someone of the same gender, right? If you're a man and a woman in a, heteronormative cisgendered couple relationship, and he's talking to another girl that happens to be an ex hookup or an ex friends with benefits, or even someone that they maybe once were remotely interested in, or maybe even still kind of remotely interested, like that is off limits in monogamy most of the time. And because there's an assumption around it, right? And what I'm seeing a lot still, and when I work with clients that come into my practice seeking support around their relationships, is these old ideas around that, like, boys and girls can't be friends. There's always, this like tension, jealousy, because monogamy really doesn't support that. It really kind of like puts your relationship in this box and everyone else becomes a threat. And that's why I think it's so toxic, because it cuts people off from friends and, it could be coworkers. It could be community. It cuts people off from community. That's the thing that really bugs me about it. And the non-monogamous community, and in my experience also the queer community I grew up with, which we didn't have same-sex marriage. That didn't come until 2015, and I was well into my 40s in 2015. And so I grew up with no legal rights to marry. So we didn't really support monogamy either. And the thing that's different, though, the biggest difference, is we talked about it ad nauseum, to the point of like, do we need to be talking about this that much? Like, this is getting a little crazy. I don't need to be talking about who I'm sleeping with and who I have a crush on and who I'm spending time with, even if it's an emotional, intimate connection and we are not even physical. But all of that plays a role in queer relationships that in the communities that I grew up with. Like, your intimate relationships, romantic, maybe not even sexual, still play a role. And we talk about those things. And a lot of monogamous relationships, those are off limits. One, because of the strict gender roles, and two, because of the strict traditional heteronormative roles. So if you are in one of those relationships, ask yourself, like, are you allowed to have guy friends? Are you allowed to have girlfriends? Because if you're not, those are opportunities for conversations. I'm not asking you to go and be open and be polyamorous and be non-monogamous or be queer. Like, no one's asking you to do that. Just encouraging you to have more conversations, because those toxic things that you tell your partner, either verbally or unconsciously, subconsciously, those rules that you're telling your partner are building up and breaking you off from community, breaking you off from your true self. And that's going to create resentment in your relationship. And then you're going to jump to another relationship. Guess what? You're going to do the serial monogamous thing. And guess what serial monogamy is? It's just a Band-Aid. It's just a Band-Aid for being non-monogamous. It's like a loophole in where you can be non-monogamous but still ape society's norms. So I don't know, just something to think about. Are you assuming monogamy in your relationships, number one? And number two, if you are, What are the rules that you're assuming? And are you getting mad at your partner for breaking those rules and you've never even talked about them? Those are the things that I think need to be thought about. If you're doing heterosexual monogamy,